Hi, I'm Dan Perky. There are 4 foundational principles involved in making any business run more efficiently, effectively, and profitably. When you're making business decisions, these principles show up with spectacular regularity regarding how to either avoid something bad or embrace something good. They're so important that I'll draw your attention to their applicability over and over in this series of videos, since they play such a large role in making a business run smoothly. I've said in other videos that one of the principles, effective communication, or rather the other side of that coin of ineffective communication, is at the root cause of probably 75% of business problems. Despite that, most business leaders either don't act on these principles or don't even recognize them at all. That needs to change. In the classic case of a sibling argument, one of them eventually says, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm telling mom." Well, principles are the moms and dads of business. When you get into a conflict or a disagreement with a peer or anyone inside or outside the company, the first place you need to go to for resolution is the 4 principles. You need only ask each other if whatever action under discussion is in alignment with one or more of the 4 principles. If it is, then proceed. If it isn't, then do something different that is in alignment. If you can train your team, your peers, and your superiors, level-wise, not necessarily talent-wise, to rely on the 4 principles first of their own volition, then you'll have fewer people knocking on your door who need your input, and you'll suddenly have more time to work on the business instead of in the business. Those 4 universal foundational principles are effective communication, true prioritization, simplification, and alignment with principles. Let's look at them in more detail and start with effective communication. I deliberately put the adjective effective in front of communication because so often people think they're communicating when in fact they're only talking. The goal is not to talk, at least for most people. The goal is to achieve a mutual understanding among the parties involved in a discussion. Then you're being effective. Some of the symptoms of ineffective communication are inaccurate orders, interdepartmental turf wars, interdepartmental conflicts, people too busy to do their jobs, poor customer satisfaction, inefficient processes, lack of processes, employee disengagement, lack of metrics, inappropriate metrics, low profitability, and a whole host of others. This principle of effective communication is so important and, as I said before, involved in maybe 75% of business issues, that I put together a separate video on it that you should also watch called The Root Cause of Most Problems. True prioritization is the next of the 4 principles. I've inserted the adjective true in front of prioritization for a reason. Now, many people, as a badge of honor, talk about all of the priorities they have and that they're just too busy. Well, it's actually a badge of dishonor. I once had a manager tell me that with him, everything was a #1 priority. Give me a break. It's a proven scientific fact that people can't really multitask, and if they try it, they actually perform worse. Now, if everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority. If nothing is a priority, then how can an individual, a department, or a whole company ever accomplish anything? The key to success is to minimize the number of priorities and focus the attention of the entire organization on them. But don't stop there. True priorities are defined by actions, not by words. So, as management, you've got to ensure that you and your group's time is dominated by the completion of the priority. Simplification is the third of the big 4. This one is pretty simple, pun intended. Less is more. You probably noticed that when I talked about true prioritization, I said to minimize the number of them. Let me give you a quick example of the application of this principle. A company had a technical installation manual of well over 200 pages. The text had lousy job performance, despite everything being spelled out for them in excruciating detail in the 200-page manual. We reduced the size of that manual to 16 pages, simplification, and retrained the text on the true priorities. Now they had things they could truly focus on and actually use on a daily basis. We saw repair calls drop 50% and job completion improve 25%. The power of simplification is that when people have less to remember, they can do a better job on what they do have to remember. The last of the big four is alignment with principles. Departmental conflicts usually arise when goals aren't aligned towards a common objective. Figuring out how the goals are at cross purposes and then putting them into alignment will allow things to flow smoothly again. Often the departmental leaders won't even recognize the problem as they're so focused on their own little worlds. It's when they can come together with the deliberate intent to find a misalignment and have a discussion about the larger picture of the company goals that real progress can be made to fix things. In summary, if something's wrong, look to a misalignment with one or more of these four principles as the cause. If you want to take the next step and actually fix something, look to put one or more of these principles into specific actions. Then all will be right with the world. Well, maybe it's a bit more complicated than that, but hopefully you get my point. To learn more about how the Open Door Group can help put your business in alignment to produce more efficiency, effectiveness, and profitability, contact us via any of the methods that follow. If you get nothing else out of this video, understand and internalize these four principles to build your work around. They'll last you a lifetime.